Otakuology podcast with Otaku Mike Engine Graves.
Here for the Otakuology podcast. We are back with another pulse-pounding, hard-hitting episode where we talk about all kinds of nerdy stuff like anime, manga, and whatever we feel like it. I'm here with my co-host, Jen.
What's up?
How's it going today, sir?
Pretty good.
Yeah? Was that a good intro? I'm like kind of pumped up.
Oh, you're about to be pumped out with what I told you that I wanted to. Did you get the last email from Right Stuff?
No.
It's quoted nostalgia on every page, classic manga, down memory lane.
No. Is this for the newsletter?
It's for the email.
Oh, I didn't get it. I don't have my phone next to me.
Okay, well, I'm gonna send you this real quick, and you tell me what you think about it, okay? So you should be getting one picture with like Yu Hakusho.
Oh, hold on.
And
oh yes, take a walk down memory lane, classic.
Okay, go to the next one.
Manga.
Go to the next picture.
And it's like has like all these manga to buy.
Yeah, look at the manga that's on there to buy.
What's Togu no Chichai?
No, underneath that
one. Case closed?
No. Underneath both of those.
It's not showing me anything underneath.
Oh, click on the picture.
Okay, I was looking at the email. Motherfucker. What the fuck?
What the fuck? So, for everybody that's out there that doesn't know this, so I have Right Stuff's email that I got today of manga going down memory lane.
Can you just wait? Before we get into this, can you name off all the manga that are in that picture, please?
Yeah,
like go in order.
You want the full list of manga that's on? So if you got this email, you have Triple X Holic, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball, Hunter x Hunter, Yu Hakusho, Case Closed, Toganu no Chi, Full Metal Alchemist, and Iken.
Okay, I don't know what that Toganu no Chi is. I never heard of that one.
I don't know what that is either, but it's an old Tokyo Pop one.
Can we just sing the song? One of these things is not like the other. One of these things is not like.
Because I know yours and my hate for that series, so that's why I was like, I'm gonna send this to you right at the beginning of the show.
Okay, so I've never read the manga, so I don't know if it's bad or not.
You've seen the anime, and it's basically a 1-for-1. Okay, so.
Okay. Honestly, I'm so surprised I got 2 episodes.
Oh my god. So anyway, the other thing that I was like, hey, this would be like a cool, like, quick discussion, because I don't consider that a classic manga, like, at all.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
I just consider it kind of trash. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's somebody's treasure.
Oh my god. What's Chase's thing? It's somebody. It makes somebody into a nasty man.
Oh, nasty man. Oh, I mean, I don't even know if the nasty man would want to have this series in their collection. Because just going off my memory from the anime, there was like a lot of like uncalled for like sexual harassment by the girls, and like there was this really, really weird younger sisters in love with older brother storyline that went on for, I think, the whole 2 episodes.
Yeah, it's weird.
It was weird. And then I remember when they go down that water slide on a banana, and he accidentally like molests.
That's what the whole thing is.
The girl he loves.
Yeah, it's that whole accidental. I accidentally groped you.
Yeah.
Or, oh, your panties are in my face, or it's complete.
But it goes for far too long.
So I have to think the only reason why this is actually in the classic anime sulfur right now is because the fan service week is this week. The fan service.
Okay.
So I think that's the only
reason.
But I had to send that to you at the beginning of the show because I wanted to get it out of the way. I didn't want to send it to you at the end and us be like, ruined the show.
I forgot the fan service sale was going on. You know, I've been buying less and less from Right Stuff, and that's sad to say.
Yeah,
like recently,
I think it's because they upped their thingy.
Yeah, in all honesty, like I love Right Stuff, but I can't always buy $80 worth of manga a month.
Yeah.
I mean, I love their deals, but I've been finding myself going a lot more to Amazon.
Yeah.
But I mean, I love Right Stuff.
I have no idea. Like I'll buy it in like one big bundle, so I haven't really noticed.
Like, but I don't. If I buy from Right Stuff, if I buy from Right Stuff, I don't even hit the $80 mark. I'll just eat the shipping costs.
Oh yeah.
I'll just eat the shipping costs and just go with it.
I usually get to spend about $100 or $120 once every 2 months on manga now.
I mean, that's fine. That's perfectly fine, you know.
So like I'm still trying to play the catch up game with the rest of the stuff, and so when I see people come out with it, I'm like,
I bought the Pokemon Omnibus.
I try and be nostalgic about my stuff too. I'm like, hey, I just got this. That's old.
I went the Right Stuff because that was the only place where I could find the Pokemon Omnibus 7 at the time, I think it was.
Yeah.
Or it was in stock before it was in stock before Amazon had it in stock. So I put that in my cart and I just bought that one thing. Just so I could get it.
Yeah.
I didn't want to wait.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll pay the $5 for shipping.
I'll get it. Heck yeah.
Yeah, I'll get it, you know. Anyways, like that's fucking I mean, I would love to like do a deep dive on Iken one time. If I could ever like get my hands on like the manga or something, or maybe
it'd be it'd be really funny to hear somebody not us do it on the podcast. To hear Planes, Trains, and
comic
books do it.
Oh, they're doing this week's episode. They're doing a Junji Ito book.
But I mean, it would be funny to hear them talk about Iken though.
You know what?
Special request for Mike. Here we
go. No, because one, that book is hard to get nowadays.
It's on sale at Right Stuff. Did you see that?
Well, I mean, like the complete series.
I'm sure.
Look, first and foremost, look, I like those guys. Okay, I consider them friends of the podcast. And I would not give that to my worst enemy.
I don't know. I feel like there's only a couple people that are friends that I would probably honestly give that to, and I would probably give it to you and Papa Weeb. And
somebody getting into manga or something like that, I would not be like, here, check this out.
No. You'd have to be like experienced.
But they're not, as they're getting into manga. We want them to get into manga, not run away screaming from it. Just saying.
No, it'd be hilarious though. So,
which that would actually be kind of be a good topic. How do we get people in the manga? You know?
How do you get people to?
But anyways, no, I would not give that to Matt and John.
How do we get people to stop reading manga? You give them Iken. Okay.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. How many people would stop reading manga?
Like, people already make fun of me for like the manga that I review on my channel. If I pulled out Iken, and I reviewed that or talked about it, I might as well just like fucking just quit YouTube.
And a lot of people thought Girl on the Shore was bad.
Oh yeah.
wait till some of those people get their hands on Iken. Oh my god.
Well, we know that they wouldn't even touch Ekin because there's like
There's
boobies on the cover. So yeah.
Ew, nasty. Right.
Anyways,
That's how I feel like it would be. So what are we talking about tonight?
So we are talking about a isekai manga. We are talking about Vol.1 of Tales of Wedding Rings. It is a fantasy manga, and it is written and drawn by Maybe. Yes, you heard me right. It's called Maybe. They are a manga team. It's two people. I don't know if they're guys or girls.
I just met you, and this is crazy.
Okay.
But here's my manga. Call me.
It's a fantasy isekai adventure harem manga. I think there's other stuff in there, but I don't know what it's classified.
Oh yeah, I'm not sure
as it's as in.
So, didn't I get you into this one?
I don't know if you talked about it. I'm trying to look it up just to make sure. Actually, what the genre would be, because I don't remember off the top of my head.
On the back anywhere.
I should have probably looked this up.
I thought it was somewhere
there's
in the
no
book.
Wikipedia. There is no Wikipedia page for this.
Oh no, there's definitely not.
So I can't tell you what it is. Anyways, so yeah. No, I mean, I don't remember. I think I picked it up one time randomly, Vol.1, and I was like, oh, this looks interesting. And I think I messaged you about it, maybe, possibly.
Yeah, that's why I think that I might have been reading it and kind of told you about it. But
yeah, I think you might have said, oh, yeah, pick it up, you'll like it, type of thing. I mean, it was kind of in my big, like, isekai kick thing. And if anybody doesn't know what an isekai is, it's a trapped in or sent to another world type of situation, as into the main character will go to a fantasy world.
Yeah.
Like, they will go from our world to a fantasy world, and they'll usually have adventures in a fantasy world.
Just another world in general.
Yeah,
kind of like
just another world in general.
Oh crap! What's the name of the TV show? Once Upon a Time. Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
So.
Yeah, but anyways, this is a isekai manga. You know, people either hate isekai or don't. So, you know,
right.
There's that.
It's like harem. People either love harem or they don't.
Well, we'll get into that later, actually. But it's published over here by Yin Press, and there are going to be 9 volumes out as of next month. It went on a short hiatus, or maybe long hiatus, I can't remember. But let's get into this, and I will read the back, and then Jen will lead us off, and let's talk about this manga.
Yeah. Hey,
so
call
Sato. You ready? So Sato and his best friend Hime have been together for as long as he can remember. So when she tells him she's going back to her home world to get married, his first thought is to follow her and crash the wedding. All goes according to plan, and with a kiss from Hime herself, Sato becomes the new groom. But unbeknownst to Sato, the man who marries Hime is destined to be a hero of immense power and save the world. Is Sato up to the challenge? Or is it just too much responsibility for one high schooler to handle? Let's get into this. What happens? Jen, how does the story start out?
It starts out with basically Sato is out in the forest around where he lives at. He lives in an apartment complex.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this big beam of light, kind of like, beam me up, Scotty. And it shoots out of the sky, and out walks this little blonde girl and this old man
who looks like Gandalf.
Yeah, I mean, basically. That basically, happens, and then we jump to the future a little bit, where now that
Mm-hmm.
they are, I don't remember how old they were when they were kids.
I think they're in high
Yeah, they're in high
school.
school now. I don't know how old they were when they were kids.
Maybe like 7, 8,
Okay.
I think. I'm guessing.
So we go, I don't know, 7, 8 years into the future, something like that.
Maybe.
And Sato and Hime are like best friends. You're kind of like, oh, they're going to be
Mm-hmm.
that couple in high school, everything. And Hime has to basically tell Sato like, hey, me and Grandpa are moving, and he's trying
Mm-hmm.
to figure out a way to
Well,
still be able to talk to her.
well, beforehand, when we get in the thing, she wakes him up. It's the normal anime trope of waking up your best friend,
Right,
who's a
right.
dude, and then they go to school.
Let
They
me
kind
jump
of
on you.
have their own little friend groups.
Right.
And Sato wants to confess his love to Hime. He wants to go to the festival with her,
Yeah.
and they she ends up inviting him, I believe. And they go to the festival. They have a really good time, and they win a couple little carnival games here and there. And at the end, right when Sato is getting ready to confess his love for his not high school, childhood
Yeah.
friend, Hime tells him the horrible news that she has to go move away to her
Right. And I kind of feel like that part
her
was almost one of those, hey, I got something to tell you. Well, I have something to tell you too. Okay, okay, you go first.
yeah,
Yeah, and
you
then
go
it turns
first.
out to be like worse, and you're like, I wish I would have went
Yeah,
first.
yeah. And Sato is very distraught about this situation, and he goes home pretty much defeated. And he's sitting up at night, wondering what's going to happen and stuff like that. And out of nowhere, he sees a beam of light coming from the
He
mountain.
seems he sees the
Uh,
Scotty beam.
he sees like a beam of light flash, and he's like, "Oh no, that must be him." So he remembers what happened when he was a child. He still
Right.
remembers that, but I think Heem doesn't think he remembers that. She thinks he kind of forgets because they don't really talk about it.
Yeah. Well, I think at one point, Grandpa tells him that he
Yeah.
actually had put a spell on him for him to forget.
Oh,
Yeah.
did he? Okay, I must have missed that
But
part.
because Sato
Excuse me.
kept having like the dream of it happening, it,
Uh-huh.
it just reminded him all the time. So he never like lost it
Yeah. So he races
to the
off,
forest.
which I want to know how far this like mountain forest area is away from his house, because in the drawing, it looks pretty far away.
Right.
So I want to know like how did he get there so fast?
I ran my ass off. That's how I got
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. And so he sees Heem and Grandpa, who I will affectionately call Bootleg Gandalf. Uh, you know. He sees them opening this portal and they're getting ready to step through. Sato sees Heem sees Sato, and she basically says goodbye and walks through the portal.
Right.
Sato, not knowing what to do, basically at the last moment jumps through the portal. When he jumps through the portal, what does he find, Jen?
He wakes up in like a big ballroom,
Yeah.
with all these people staring at him and all this other stuff, and then he's still like trying to like talk to him and everything else, try and
Well, he sees her getting married, I believe.
yeah, or like standing there
Yeah.
at the altar or whatever,
Yeah.
and then we get the abyssal beast that
The abyss
yeah,
beasts.
and then he comes in. And out of like the love and compassion for Sato, he runs from, I forgot the dude's name.
His name's Mars.
Yeah.
Mars.
So she runs from.
I actually put his name into Google Translate just so I could figure out
Okay.
what his name was.
Yeah,
It's
because I was
Mars.
like, I know like we call him something, but then like later on they tell you his full name, and that's what
Yeah.
like, and that's kind
Yeah.
of weird.
So she's they set up this arranged marriage type of situation. They're getting ready to be married to unify the Kingdom of Light, which we find out what this is later on, and what they call the Empire,
right?
To help fight these the Empire, these beasts. And when this union is going to happen, a monster comes through the ceiling, and out of instinct, he runs to Sato, kisses him, and slips a ring on his finger, and now they're officially married. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Sato takes out the beast with a pretty cool scene of him fighting this monster with his newfound powers. He passes out after he kills the monster. What happens after that, Jin?
The light sword. Whew.
He uses the sword of light.
That's his lightsaber. Bzz. So we got Gandalf and Star Wars on this right now. So after he passes out, then he wakes up in a bed the next morning, and lo and behold, here we go. Heem is back Sato. On top of Sato. So
yeah. And what does she tell Sato?
Then she has to tell him about the whole being the Ring King and how it's a big honor and stuff like that. So the Ring King is supposedly a legend that has been told years and years and years and years and years. I think it's 100 years.
Something like that.
And so every 100 years you had a new person kind of take on the mantle of Ring King here and there. And sometimes it was longer, sometimes it was shorter, but the last one we know was 100 years ago. And what the Ring King is supposed to do is, at some point, the Abyss King comes in and rears his ugly head, and you have to have a Ring King of power basically take him out.
Yeah.
So, and you have the Ring of Light, and then we have 4 other basically elemental.
But we'll get to that. We'll get to that later. We'll get that later in the story. Yeah. Don't spoil that for anybody.
It's just 4 elemental rings.
Yeah.
So, but we got to collect them.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to collect them all.
Yeah, I'll poke them.
Sato is shown to the people of the Kingdom of Light and takes up on this new role of the Ring King, obviously. And he's kind of cocky a little bit, and being like, yeah, I'm the hero. And, I know what I'm going to do and whatnot, And later on that night, Sato is in the bath, and apparently the maids of the castle really want to bathe Sato for some reason. I don't know why. And Heem is also in this bath, this massive bath, and they are talking about what exactly happened. I don't want to say Sato is somewhat friend zoned at the moment, but she's kind of I love you as a friend.
No, I fully agree. I feel like he is completely friend zoned in this at the point, but it's almost like the sense of duty of, hey, we're married, we kind of have to have our wedding night. Kind of seems like
the marriage is technically it's kind of like
it's incomplete.
It's not an official marriage.
It's incomplete right now until that happens.
Yeah. So as they're talking, and Sato's actually kind of grasping what's happening, because he's kind of not really thinking straight, sort of. Another attack happens, and we get one of the coolest things, I think, in this book. I don't remember what they were called. Do you remember what they were called? The monster that shows up? The one who's really powerful.
The Abyss monster?
The one that's really powerful. It looks like a ring wraith.
Hold on, let me see if I can find what that's called.
he's like a really powerful monster shows up and attacks the castle. Sato and Hime try to put up a valiant fight, but they are no match for said monster.
Said ring wraith.
It's like a ring wraith basically, and they have to retreat and run, and they end up running to with Grandpa and Mars to this little village. And what happens when they get to the village, Jim?
When they run to the village, they had to.
Yeah, when Grandpa finally explains exactly what's happening.
He tells them that he basically has to collect a harem.
Yeah, he has to collect a harem. Each
the
kingdom has their own ring.
The wraith is called a Knight of the Abyss.
Okay. So explain this whole situation with what's exactly happening.
Where Grandpa's talking to him.
Yeah.
So continuing off our other story. So Grandpa tells him that he has to collect the rest of these 4 elemental rings that will basically give him the ability and the power to fight the Abyss King and his army, and kind of go from there of, really what's going to happen with that, and it's going to make him the hero that basically the world needs right now.
Yeah, and he basically has to get these women to like their bonds between each other powers the magic within the rings, which allows him to defeat the Abyss King. And we get when Hime kind of finds out about this, or she kind of knows about it already, she takes off, and we get a really nice heart-to-heart with Sato and Mars. Mars basically tells Sato, he's like, yeah, I didn't really want to do this.
Right.
I didn't want to marry Hime, but I was doing it out of duty, basically.
Right. Which he says too, right. Because isn't this the first part too where he mentions that he actually loves somebody else?
Yeah, he does. I believe he does. Yeah, this is where he kind of loves somebody else. Yeah. He was only doing it out of duty, He was doing it for his dad, basically, type of situation. And what we didn't talk about before is Mars has kind of had Sato's back throughout this whole thing, where there was like government officials or higher up people within like higher like standing people within the kingdom, kind of looked down on Sato because he wasn't like the chosen one and wasn't from the Empire, and Mars was kind of like, yeah, I will go with him on this journey. I will, support him.
Because Mars basically became like his sword instructor.
Yeah, he's kind of like his Boromir, or
not
Boromir,
his Aragorn.
Aragon,
I was like, not Boromir.
Although later on you could say he's kind of like Boromir a little bit. Anyways, so they're talking to this really heart-to-heart realization, and he tells Sato where Hime is at, and Sato and Hime finally get down and get to actually have an actual conversation about what everything's going on. Sato actually confesses his love to Hime. Hime does the same thing. They go to consummate their marriage, and they're at the end. Things don't go according to plan because they're both scared teenagers, obviously.
Yeah.
And they're basically like, okay, yes, we are technically married, but we're gonna take it slow. We're not gonna force this, because they were trying to like get it on, but Hime was obviously very uncomfortable with the whole situation.
Right. And Sato was like, well, if you're uncomfortable, I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah, if you're uncomfortable, I'm uncomfortable type of thing, And the next morning, go ahead. Sorry.
So if you actually read this, anybody that's listening and out there, so the funny thing is too that you notice as the story goes on, you will see these two characters in the future. Same apparel. The funny thing is it's their high school clothes from Earth.
And they give them capes.
Yeah, right. So
they give them capes.
So I mean, that's kind of a funny thing. I feel like is you always see them in like their school uniforms, and nobody else has that on.
Yeah, yeah. So like, no, they actually make reference to that, because later on, like he beforehand, like in the early part of the manga, Hime is dressed up in like gowns and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah, at the
And then
marriage.
yeah, and she even like mentions like, oh, I put this back on because I wanted you to feel comfortable and whatnot, you know. And he doesn't really have a change of clothes, and so Mars gets them like some cloaks or capes, you know, to help them like fit in because their clothes are stand out quite a bit, you know. So after the whole conversation, you know, they're gonna take it slow. They're getting ready to leave, and where is their next place to go to, Jen?
The Tornado Tree of Death.
The Tornado Tree of Death.
Yeah, the Tornado Tree of Death. So
they're going to the Elven Kingdom.
Yeah, it's like the life tree or whatever. It's this big ass tree. Yeah. So that's basically what it is. There's a giant tornado that's covering it up, and only elves know how to basically get in through the tornado to get in to the kingdom.
Yeah.
So, but they are going there, and they're going to have to basically figure out how to overcome the elf princess.
The tornado. Yeah. Yeah, so each coinciding book, there's 4, right? There's 4 more. At volume 5 is when they meet the last princess. Yes. So each book you get to. We'll get into this, but they're going to Elf Kingdom. One thing I actually thought was really funny was Mars. His outlook on elves. He thought they were all like really like just like deviant, like sex deviants or whatever. Yeah. Which was pretty funny to see. But yeah, our first volume ends with you seeing the Elven Kingdom wrapped up in a tornado. Our heroes going to the tornado, or getting ready to go off to the tornado, and we see a glimpse of the elf princess. You know, she knows he's coming, and whatever she's gonna do, she does. You know. But I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit here and there about the manga as a whole.
Yeah.
So, what exactly did you think of this first manga, rereading it?
For Tales of Wintering, I thought it was good. I feel like though when you read it, if you're farther along than where it is, it kind of makes like a reread kind of boring, especially just when you're only reading volume 1 again. Because I mean, there's just so much action and stuff later on.
Yeah, no, that is definitely true. I mean, although I reread it and I was like, oh man, I really want to reread the rest of the series because I haven't read volume 8 yet. I was waiting for volume 9 to come out so I could read both of them. But I really enjoy this series. I like that we get a team of mangaka, like 2 people doing this. So they have to, they work together. It's not just a single person's viewpoint on this. I like the isekai aspect. I actually like all the characters. I think all the characters are really fun, and their jokes are really funny when they have jokes and whatnot, you know?
Right. And I mean, the other funny thing was them working on, another couple manga, like why they were doing this one.
Yeah, they're doing Abandoned Sacred Beast.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really fun read. There are things that I kind of wanted to talk about and touch on. I was very surprised how much this is inspired by Lord of the Rings. And even the creators say that, we're inspired by Lord of the Rings. We're inspired by Tolkien,
Right. Which I think there's a thing right at the end that's an author's note, and it
Yeah, and
says
they say that. They're like, it was inspired by Tolkien.
I watched all 3 Lord of the Rings movies in one day and nearly died. And I
Yeah.
didn't even get anything from them that I could use in this manga.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, it's fun. I kind of wanted to, once you go on and you learn about each character and each kingdom that they're a part of, because each girl gets their time to shine in their volumes, and you do get a lot of interesting aspects to where later on in the series him and Sato having to deal with the fact that they have to have these other women around, and they have to have some sort of bond for Sato's magic to get stronger.
right.
It doesn't necessarily have to be like a sexual bond or like a oh I love you type of bond. It could be like a friendship. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
Because
so it can grow off of those bonds,
yeah,
but then there's also supposedly the power up is the sexual bond.
yeah,
The
and
big power up.
but the thing is that Sato and Hime kind of are like we are together,
Right. And
we are together,
I think he clearly states that
Yeah, he
later on
does.
to
They
all the
both
rest of the
do.
girls
Yeah,
of and they all kind of support, like, yeah, him, like, you're kind of the number one wife,
yeah,
when
basically,
it comes down to
and
it.
they don't really like go after him, you know. And there's even one where later on where one of them's like, "Yeah, I'm only doing this because it's my duty. I don't
Right.
care about you. I think
Right.
that's who Mars likes later on, if I remember correctly.
Her sister.
Oh, it's her sister. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
No, this is a really fun manga. I really like the fact that it's an isekai. Obviously, isekais are notorious for quote not being original or being too geared towards men, or like otaku guys, because you have your typical isekai manga, guy gets powered up, guy is super strong, blah 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 blah. Girls
Right.
fawn all over him usually. This
They
one,
want him.
huh?
They want him.
They want him, yes. This one I
Yeah,
really
okay.
like because this one I really like, and I feel like it's a lot like older isekai. It's not like the newer crop of isekai that have popped up. You can disagree with me or not on this, but it reminds me a lot of Escaflowne. I don't know if you ever watched that as a kid. You ever watch Escaflowne?
No, I've heard of
No.
Escaflowne, but I've never
Well,
seen Escaflowne.
one thing with Escaflowne is a lot of people praise it on its world building. Like the characters seem real, fully fleshed out characters, and the world seems lived in, which I think this goes off that same dynamic. And this world feels like it's fully lived in, and these characters get fully fleshed out as they go along,
Right.
And one thing I actually like later on in this a lot is I think it's around volume 6 when the girls are like, we're going to step in and we're going to be a part of this fight as well. Because prior to that, they're kind of sort of on the sidelines, and they kind of just give him the powers that he'll need to fight. But then they're like, no, we're powerful enough as well. We're going to train to fight. We're going to use our own
right.
our own resources and our own abilities to help you, like
Yeah.
you're not going to fight in this alone type of
And then
situation.
we kind of get like the special circumstance stuff that
Yeah.
happens, like book 7.
Oh yeah.
All that kind of stuff, which, I really like that aspect of it, is like he's the first one for all this stuff to kind of happen together.
Yeah.
And everything to kind of mesh into like a really good thing.
Yeah, but honestly, like the story, the way this is told, it's like it's a real easy read. Like I did, like every time I would finish a volume, I would be like, God damn,
right?
I want to read another one.
I feel like probably the best comparison for this. I mean, strike out kind of like the fan service that's put into it, because honestly, like you wouldn't know that. But I really feel like the big thing that this could be is it almost seems like one of those kind of old grandpa like storyteller, like, hey kids, get in bed, grandpa's gonna tell you a
Maybe,
story. I mean,
but
that's kind of how I feel like it is
maybe. I mean, I don't know.
without the fan service. Or with the fan service.
Well, I mean, like even with the fan service, one thing I praise this book on is the fact that it doesn't like hit you over the head with the fan service.
Right.
You know, it's sprinkled throughout the book in scenarios or situations when it's not like a high stakes thing, you know. It's used very sparingly.
Right.
And I really actually like that a lot. You know, I mean, I got I think I got somebody to read this and they actually didn't like it because of the harem aspect. But I mean, they were also
I remember that.
They didn't like it because of the harem aspect, but they also liked reverse harems, which is really weird.
Right.
Which is really weird. And I was like, no, you should like
that and some of the weird like yaoi things that happen.
Oh yeah.
We're not gonna get in. We're not getting into that.
But I really do recommend this series. It's a lot of fun. Like it's a well crafted story. Like even the artwork's like really good. Like
right, yeah.
I don't see like a bad page in this book. I love that it's oversized, honestly.
That's true too.
I like it. Like I like just every character is distinctly drawn. You're not going to get them confused with anybody else, honestly.
Right.
And later on, when we get into like the mythos and the whole backstory about all the other characters that we meet and their motivations and stuff like that, it's really cool. Now we can't talk about the ending because the ending it's still going on, so we don't know when it's going to end.
Right.
But if you want to jump into this manga on the ground floor, go check it out. Don't let the fact that it's an isekai or a quote, I use quotations on this, harem manga, because I don't really feel like it's harem manga, honestly.
Right.
I feel like Sato's collecting his fellowship.
And I would say too, that's true too. I would say too, make sure that you pay attention kind of to the chapter.
Oh yes, those are cool.
Because I like it's almost like fan art without having fan art.
Yeah.
And like, I think it really starts on chapter 2.
Yeah.
And chapter 2 actually looks like them dressed from like playing cards.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, I like that part.
And then you get kind of a summer day with him and a trip to the beach. And so it's even though we're kind of in this medieval world, we're still getting these little tiebacks into like, maybe this is stuff that happened after the story ends, or something like that. So
yeah, if you are into like fantasy novels, like I don't know, Conan or something like that, like real fantasy, like Conan,
if you're into Dungeons and Dragons,
Lord of the Ring, Dungeons and Dragons, if you like that fantasy story, this is actually one that I usually make. I'm like, here, take this. I think you will enjoy it. I warn them that there is some fan service, so they might feel uncomfortable about that, but it's not like distasteful or lewd fan service. It's kind of like, oh, like one of the girls might be in like lingerie or something, or
and I mean, if you've seen Tenchi Muyo, I feel like that's probably the best harem
that's the best comparison. Is probably like Tenchi Muyo, yes, fan service level.
The guy's real nice. he's trying to work everything out, and you kind of deal with his inner turmoil of, going out of that norm of kind of being in a monogamous relationship.
And having to like help these other women, who don't like love him, but they have to form these bonds with him,
Right. Which, I mean, I feel like they start getting to that point too of loving him.
Yeah, but it's never like interferes with like Heem's relationship with Sato.
Right. They're all kind of like, oh, you handle Heem, we'll take the back seat, and then you come for us.
Yeah, maybe later, But yeah, they all have their like little quirks and stuff like that. They're pretty fun.
They have quirks.
Huh?
They have quirks.
Well, I like little like they're like. Well, in like a harem where
I was just being stupid.
Well, I mean, like when you have
My Hero Academia quirks.
No, not like that. Like characteristics, like when you have a harem, a lot of the female characters in a harem are usually almost like one note characters.
Yeah. Right.
In this, I don't feel like they're like that.
Right.
At all. Yeah. Out of 5, how many rings would you give this?
5.
5?
Yeah.
I would too. I actually really love this series.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of my favorite ones, and usually if it's a manga that I like, maybe there's one thing off with it, then I'll give it a 4.
I don't feel like that way when I read this manga.
But yeah, I know. I feel like this one is a solid 5.
Yeah.
I mean, the only other thing that would probably, honestly, with everything with it, that would knock it off its pedestal is if it never finished. And that would probably knock it down to a 4. But
yeah, I kind of worried that if it wasn't going to finish at one point, because it did take like a year-long hiatus.
Right.
But I think that's because they were working on other things. They're working on several. They're working on several things, like other manga as well. But I don't feel like this suffers from that.
Right.
Like they work on one for a little bit, then work on another kind of thing, because they only have that one other manga that's being published, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, because I think the other thing that they had was like a one-shot.
Yeah. But yeah, I completely recommend this. Everybody should go check out Tales of Wedding Rings.
Yes.
It's really, really good. And I don't say that about, a lot of the manga that I read. I only do that for like a handful of manga. Like ones that I actually really, truly, like they're ones that I enjoy, and then there are ones that like I enjoy.
Yeah.
Like I run out to go grab when it comes out type of situation.
Right.
Like that's what it's like. And I got Volume 9 coming next month, which I'm super excited about. I'm so excited. Yeah. Anyways, guys, thanks for listening. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, you can email us at otakuologypodcast@gmail.com. You can check us out on Instagram at otakuologypod. Jen, where can they find you at?
Oh, you can find me on Instagram. You can find me somewhat on YouTube.
If you look up Jen's Infinite Library, you can find him on Instagram. Yeah. You can find me at Otaku Mike on Instagram and I almost said MySpace.
You can find Mike on MySpace too if you look
on YouTube. You can find me over at Otaku Mike on YouTube, and you can go check out our YouTube channel, Otakuology Podcast, where we put all of our audio podcasts up onto YouTube for people who don't like downloading podcasts. Obviously, I don't know who would not want to download a podcast.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I don't know why you wouldn't want to support us.
Yeah. So make sure to go share the podcast, talk about our podcast. That helps us a lot to help our podcast grow. We appreciate all the people who download and listen to our podcast. It means the world to us, honestly. Like, we are so grateful that we have people who actually want to listen to us talk. You know,
Right.
even though I do download the podcast and listen to us after it comes out, you know, just to double check things and, you know, stuff like that. But, you know, the word of mouth helps the podcast grow. And if you leave us a review on Apple Podcast, 5 stars, we will read whatever you write. If you send us a question, we will read it on the podcast and answer your question for you. You know, go check out Tales of Wedding Rings. I think a lot of people will enjoy it, and I feel like it's honestly kind of a sleeper hit. You know, people who read it usually do enjoy it. I don't see a lot of people having it in their halls or, you know, they're talking about it.
Yeah, I haven't seen anybody have it in a long time.
I push this manga all the time. Everybody's like, hey, what should I read? Tales of Wedding Rings. Bam. Read it. Go check it out. You will not be disappointed. Jen, I have a question for you.
What?
When will they see us next time?
You guys are going to see us next Tuesday.
Catch you guys later.